going to be leading when the checkered flag falls here in the Nations Cup? We're about to find out. 30 laps of action to come for our drivers. Very hard wearing of the Red Bull X29 teams on their tyres, but the grand final for the Nations Cup in London is underway as Serrano leads the field towards the first corner with Paul Ura, Kylian Drumont, Sasaki Gallo all in tow behind. All of those top 5 drivers on the medium compound of tyre.
On to lap 3 we go. Kai de Bruin to the inside. See the indicator there flashing on Kylian Drumont. He said, you know what, mate, go by. I don't want to fight you right now. And Kai de Bruin now up 7 places from his starting position. Where will he pass? Because he needs to pass and just put away. That's the strat now for him up the inside. Is he going to make it done? Kai de Bruin goes from 10th position on the grid up to first in just over 3.5 laps in that soft compound of tyres. So let's see now what the Dutchman can do. Everyone is unleashed. Everyone's right. Okay, here we go. Now they're fighting as we come down to the hairpin down the bottom here. Drumont looking to the outside of Gallo. Gallo and Drumont now having a little bit of door-to-door contact, or whatever constitutes a door in this car. Now, but they are now getting to the point as Drumont, for the first time this race, takes the lead away from Jose Serrano, and Gallo's going through too. So both Drumont and Gallo deciding right now is the time to pounce. It's going to come down to the last lap or two here. Serrano making that big move on Miyazono, has to do it up the inside. Goes Serrano now rocking onto the back of Kylian Drumont, of Sasaki and Gallo. Paul Ura is going to use the slipstream, follow him through. They both go through. Oh my God, contact at over 200 miles an hour, but they all somehow manage to keep pointing the right way.
Now challenging for the race lead. Does he dive to the inside, to the left-hander? He does, and Serrano goes through. Is the door open for Ura there as well? Sort of. On the inside, switches to the outside line. Sasaki's going to defend it, but that'll compromise his run out of the corner, and Ura just has to wait another day and goes for a lunge on the inside, but runs it deep. Sasaki's ready to come back through there, but no door is open. Oh, Gallo.
Oh, there you go.
Lunges to the inside for third place on Sasaki. Sasaki left the door pretty firmly open there as we come on to the start of the final lap for the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London. It's Serrano who leads Paul Ura 0.2 of a second in it as we come into the first corner. Serrano defends. Ura looking for the outside line. That's going to be brave and bold and brilliant from Paul Ura if he can make it stick. Side by side they run into the braking zone. Serrano's got track position. Ura's off onto the grass on the inside. He's got the line though on the inside, but he switches to the outside line through the next left-hander, and somehow Serrano retains the lead.
He's wide.
He's no doubt. Oh, it's so hard though when you run it deep though, because it switches back to that left-hander, and it just gave Serrano enough track position. Half a lap to go then here, separating Serrano and Ura from victory in the grand final in the Nations Cup. And lunge to the inside for Ura. Can he make it stick on Serrano? He slides. Is that moment over? But Jose Serrano pulls a blinder and wins the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London. It's Jose Serrano on top, Paul Ura in second, Valerio Gallo will take third. What a fantastic end to that race here in London.
PlayStation
Hello everybody, welcome to Berlin for round 2 of the 2025 Gran Turismo World Series in front of our wonderful live audience. Oh, it is, look at that. We didn't even train them to do that. That's amazing. It's so good to be back. So good to be here. Our second show of the day for the Nations Cup, the GT World Series. Jimmy, last time we were out in London, it was Spanish domination at the top.
Yeah, Paul Ura and Jose Serrano just pretty much dominated the field, with Serrano coming out on top. This time, where all could be different for this round in Berlin.
Yeah, it certainly could. And it wasn't necessarily all the same for the other drivers, because some were a bit less fortunate than others, including Takuma Miyazono.
Yes, that's right. Takuma Miyazono did super well, of course, dominating the Manufacturers' Cup, but didn't do quite as well in the Nations. And I know that would be really bothering him a little bit, as he's known as Mr. Consistency. So let's see if he's going to have to step it up this time to get a better position in the Nations. But before we get into all that, do you guys like free stuff? Of course you do. Have a look at this.
Don't forget that you can get involved with the World Series inside Gran Turismo 7 with the bonus campaign. Just click on the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 world map, and that's going to give you the chance to win 1 million credits for each of the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers' Cup by predicting who's going to win. Just think of all the stuff you could buy with that. Don't forget that you can enter and vote right up until the start of each Grand Final. Good luck. Watch the World Series broadcast through your GT7 game, and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Watch the Nations Cup live stream and you could win a Porsche 962C with the winning country's livery. Everyone likes free stuff, myself included, and here's your chance to grab some.
Now, you may or may not know, but we unveiled a few days ago at the Munich car show the brand new Vision GT, which we have here in the studio. Take a look at this beautiful bit of machinery. Have a look at this. This is the Opel Corsa GSE. Do we like it? It looks pretty good, huh? Yes. So this is the first Vision GT project that's coming from Opel, and it was unveiled a few days ago, of course. And it's the epitome of Opel's sporty GSE sub-brand in an electric high-performance car. It's the latest brand in the brand, who have had a long history in building show cars. I mean, it's over 60 years. And it combines Opel's rich motorsport heritage with an iconic nameplate, the Corsa. The Corsa GSE Vision GT has thrilling performance with 2 electric motors. It delivers instant power and torque, launching from 0 to 100 in just 2 seconds, and on a top speed of about 320 kilometers per hour. And the stunning performance matches the muscular and powerful experience. And basically, look at this face here. We have highlighting the Opel Blitz, which is now illuminated. It is pretty spectacular. Do we like it? So I'm now joined by, of course, the series producer for Gran Turismo, Yamauchi-san. Please give him a big round of applause. So, Yamauchi-san, fun fact, my first ever car was a Corsa 1.2-litre diesel. It didn't look as good as this one, though.
私の初めての車が1.2 のリッターのディーゼルのコルサだったんですよ。ここまでかっこよくなかったですけど。
I much prefer this one. I could definitely be very annoying in London in this car, I feel.
どんどん暴走するのは絶対こっちの方がかっこいいと思うんですけど。
So please tell us a little bit, how are you feeling about this particular Vision GT?
今回のビジョン GT 山内さんはどう思われますか？
ビジョン GT のプロジェクトが始まって、今年でもう十数年経っているんですね。で、もともとビジョン GT というのは自動車のデザインプロジェクトとして始まったんですけれども、最近は自動車のデザインだけではなくて、それぞれの自動車メーカーの未来をね、占うような、そういうプロジェクトに変化してきています。
So, the Vision Gran Turismo project has been going on for over 10 years now. And originally, it really started just as a design project, but now it's sort of evolved into something which sort of predicts the future and kind of gives you a glimpse of what the manufacturers are thinking, for the times ahead.
で、そういう目でこの、オペルコルサ GSE ビジョングランツーリスモを見ると、将来のねコルサって、ジュリアも乗っていたようにすごくポピュラーなみんなよく知っている車ですよね。で、そういう車がどんな未来に向かっているのかを、この車からね想像するのが楽しいんじゃないかなと思います。
Yeah, so when you look at this Opel Corsa GSE Vision Gran Turismo, you can kind of get a feel for the future of the Corsa brand. I mean, you drove it yourself. It's a car that everyone knows. Everyone's been been at one point in time. And you can sort of imagine what's going to be the next Corsa lineup. We're looking at this car.
I mean, I'm all for it. Anything's better than a 1.2-litre diesel one, but that's fine. Well, I suppose the most important question is, when can players get a chance to get behind the wheel?
そしたらプレイヤーはいつになったらこの車を走らせることができるようになるんですよ。
ほとんどお待たせすることはないと思います。
Yeah, they won't have to wait very long at all.
Okay, so not soon, I take it. That's
Yes.
great. Okay, thank you so much, Yamauchi. Soon. So, as we are almost getting into the finals of the Nations Cup here, we thought we'd just throw you a little bit of how the competition format, just so you can keep up to speed with all the action that's about to come.
Who is going to be leading when the checkered flag falls here in the Nations Cup?
He needs to pass and just put away. That's the strat now for him on the inside. Is he going to make it done? Kind of. Bruin goes from 10th position on the grid up to first in just over 3.5 laps. They both go through. Oh my God, contact at over 200 miles an hour, but they all somehow manage to keep pointing the right way. The hairpin down the bottom here. Drummond looking to the outside of Gallo. Gallo and Drummond now having a little bit of door-to-door contact, or whatever constitutes a door in this car.
Does he dive to the inside, to the left-hander? He does, and Serrano goes through. Is the door open for Jura there as well? Sort of. On the inside, switches to the outside line. Jura just has to wait another day and goes for a lunge on the inside, but runs it deep. As we come into the first corner, Serrano defends Jura, looking for the outside line. That's going to be brave and bold and brilliant from Paul Jura if he can make it stick. Side by side they run in the Nations Cup. And lunge to the inside for Jura. Can he make it stick on Serrano? He slides. Is that moment over? But Jose Serrano pulls a blinder and wins the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London. It's time to meet our 12 drivers taking to the track tonight in the Gran Turismo Nations Cup. Please welcome, first up from Brazil, Adriano Carrazza. Adriano is a two-time Gran Turismo World Series event winner and will be hoping to add to that tally in front of the crowd tonight. Next up, his full-time debut season in the GT World Series from Canada, it's Samuel Cardinal. Next up, the top driver from the Central and South American region with 5 event wins to his name. From Chile, it's Angel Estrada. He's making his 20th Gran Turismo World Series start today and celebrating his 29th birthday yesterday. From Australia, it's Guy Barbara. Another two-time event winner in the Gran Turismo World Series from France, it's Thomas Le Bousselet. Next up, the 20-year-old hotshot is seeking his first win from the Netherlands. Please welcome Kai de Bruyne. The next man needs no introduction, but we'll give him one anyway. The 4-time Gran Turismo World Champion from Japan, Takuma Miyazono. Next up, welcome the fast hot shot, the 21-year-old from France, Kylian Drumont. 20-year-old from Japan, please welcome Takuma Sasaki. Takuma, unlucky to miss out on a podium in London, will be hoping to go a couple of places higher here tonight. Next up, give it your all, the 2021 Nations Cup World Champion, the 25-year-old from Italy, it's Valerio Gallo. The 20-year-old from Spain, part of the team that made up the 2023 Nations Cup Championship. From Spain, it is Paul Ura. And last but not least, our winner from World Series 1 in London and also a 2023 Nations Cup champion from Spain, it's Jose Serrano! Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of our host nation here in Germany.
So yes, we are here in Berlin. Are you guys having a good time? We are having an absolute blinder of a round here at Gran Turismo World Series, but now it is time. We are moments away from finding out who the winners are for the Gran Turismo World Series Round 2 Nations Cup. The drivers have practiced best they can. Now it is time to kind of put the pedal to the metal and see if they can handle the pressure of the stage. Do you reckon they can do it? What do you think? I think they're going to be all right. They are the best of the best after all. Why don't we take a look at how the competition's going to break down?
The Nations Cup features the best 12 drivers in the world from the 2025 Online Qualifiers. 9 countries are participating in the Nations Cup World Series this season. Spain, France and Japan are the most represented countries with 2 drivers each. All of the drivers will get the chance to set a time over a one-lap attack to determine the grid for the sprint race. In the sprint, drivers will get behind the wheel of the Porsche 962C, and how well they perform will determine their spot for the start of the Grand Final. All 12 drivers will battle it out in the Grand Final, with only the top 6 securing World Series points. On top of getting 6 points, first place gets a shiny trophy and is declared the winner of Round 2 in the Nations Cup World Series 2025.
Well, there we go then. That's how it all works out. And here is how the points sit after one round. Of course, round 2 here tonight. And you can see it's tight at the top. Jose Serrano and Paul Ura, Spanish domination in the top 2. But Valerio Gallo nipping away at their heels. Takuma Sasaki, Kylian Drumont and Takuma Miyazono making up the points scorers. Of course, 6 drivers yet to get off the scoreboard. Opportunity knocks for them here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said before, the field is so tight here, it's almost surprising to see the guys without points not have points. Well, big chance to do that for them tonight.
Absolutely. Well, let's catch up then with a couple of our competitors. They're down on the ground talking to Jules.
Yes, I'm joined here by Karshabun and Takuma Miyazono, who are racing in the Nations Cup. So, last time, not the result that you wanted. Obviously, you went away. What's kind of going to be your strategy coming into it this time?
I mean, this time it's going to be a whole different race with rain coming up. Yeah, it's going to be strategy-wise very different, I guess. First, we have the sprint race, so we have to survive the chaos, I guess, also. But yeah, for the main race, have to see what's come on the radar of the weather.
Yeah, you're feeling confident though.
Very confident.
Good. I feel like it's very important to get that across now. That we're getting just a bit of a pep talk pre-race. Takuma, obviously you did amazingly in the Manufacturers Cup in round 1. You know, you came in like 6th in the nations. I know that's going to have annoyed you because you like to win always. How are you feeling today? You feeling confident?
どうですかラウンド1ではマニファクチャーの方は優勝したけどネーションズは6位に終わってしまって今回どういった気持ちで臨んでいますか
正直彼と違って自信がないです。はい。
Compared to him, I'm not confident at all.
You always say this every time, and then you just do really. I don't know, but honestly, like you are very, very consistent with what you do. How do you think? Like, obviously, we have like new drivers kind of coming in all the time, but like, how do you feel like with the fresh competition each race, like improving yourself?
毎回そう言われてすごくもう安定した走りを見せて最後に逆転してますけど今回新しいドライバーもどんどん追加されていてそういったフレッシュフェイスと一緒に走るのをどういうふうに思っていますか
やっぱり長年ずっとこの競技に参加しているので新しい選手と走れるのはすごい、幸せですし、その中でも自分自身がまた戦えるっていうところを証明していきたいなと思いますし今日のレースは何が起こるかわからないのでベテランらしく広い視野を持ってミスなく、無事に走り切れることができればおのずといい結果がついてくると思うので、頑張りたいと思います。はい
Yeah, so having been competing for a long time now, I'm happy to see new faces in the competition. But within that, I still want to prove that I can fight. I still have got it. And this race, I don't know what the conditions are going to be. It's it might be a little bit difficult. But as a veteran driver, I want to make sure that I make no mistakes, and I think the results will follow.
Well, you're both incredible drivers, and I'm pretty sure whatever comes your way on the track, you're going to handle it well. So you're great. They're brilliant. Give them a round of applause. We're going to get this underway and kick it off with the sprint race. Over to you guys, Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, cheers, Jules. A reminder before we get that underway about where we're stopping on the calendar for the GT World Series in 2025. Of course, we kick things off at the beginning of June in London. Slight break as we are now in Berlin here for round 2 in September. Then we're off to Los Angeles. Looking forward to that for the very first time. That's at the beginning of November. And then right towards the end of December, just a couple of days before Christmas, we're in Fukuoka for the World Finals, which is going to be thrillingly exciting. I'm sure you will agree. And it's been exciting all weekend, especially because we've got some brilliant cars here in Berlin as well.
Yeah, it's been awesome to have that all out front. Of course, if you are interested in getting tickets for LA, you can see the little QR code on the screen to give that a little scan and get your tickets so you can be there at the event. Perfect excuse to go. Well, perfect excuse to go to the US, right?
Hey, no doubt about it. And of course, tickets on sale for Fukuoka from the 1st of October as well. So get yourself involved in that. And we look forward to seeing you there because, as we say, we cannot wait to see how it is going to work out in the Gran Turismo World Series, especially here in the Nations Cup, because we're not too far away from the sprint race. Here's what happened in qualifying, though, earlier on today. This is a time trial event taking place at the Red Bull Ring in the X2019. So you can see Guy Barbara had a wobble, a spin, and compromised his qualifying session, which meant no times on the board for the Australian driver. He'll be starting right down towards the very back of the field, courtesy of the time that he lost. The initial pace was set by Adriano Carrazza, but then Thomas Labouche fired one in to get himself right up the sharp end by 1/10 of a second.
It went away at 0.4, very, very quick around this Red Bull Ring circuit. Kylian Drummond, of course, his fellow countryman, always been a rival of Kylian Drummond, although unable to go faster, missing out by only 0.02 of a second. Super close at the top.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Kylian Drummond, a bit disappointed with that one, as I'm sure you can imagine. Those two have been pretty close rivals. Sasaki was a bit down in the middle sector. We know he's pretty handy in these Red Bull X2019 cars, but extracting the maximum at this Red Bull Ring circuit can prove to be quite difficult. You can see they were really flirting with the edges of track limits coming through those final corners. If you just make one small error, it can cost you a bit of time, and he made time, though, in the final sector. You can see going to the top of the pile, despite being down, as I said, in that middle sector. For Valerio Gallo, though, up and in towards the first corner, he was a bit too deep over the curb, and unfortunately got a track limits penalty. His lap was gone as well.
Yeah, Bro turned in from another country there, so I'm not surprised by that track limit, but Jose Serrano was the last man to cross the line. Would he go faster than Sasaki? No, he could only manage P6, our winner from London,
down in the mid-pack.
Yeah, disappointment there for Jose Serrano, but here is how the grid then will line up ahead of the sprint race here today. So Sasaki on pole position with Labutale alongside on the front row. Then it's Drummond, Corazza, Ura and Serrano is your top 6. But a big name down there is Takuma Miyazono. Just 0.6 of a second slower he was, but the field spread, as you can see, incredibly tight all the way down, effectively, to Valerio Gallo. Of course, Barbara sprinting on his flying lap meant that he lost a bit of time. But we turn things on their head for the Nations Cup, especially for the sprint race, because instead of being in Rebel X 2019s, we're in the Porsche 962 from 1988.
Hey, reading the words Monza no chicane gives me a special sort of PTSD. It really does. Very, very quick down the straights, of course, using, as you say, these Porsche 962 Group C cars. There it's on your screen, 700 horsepower, give or take a couple of horsepower, 850 kilos, huge turbocharger, turbo lag, all the good stuff. There is aero, just not what they're used to from the X 2019.
Yeah, he's the polar opposite, isn't it? And these Group C machines, very tricky, and you can imagine the top speeds are going to be excessively high as well, courtesy of the fact that there is no chicane. The first braking zone the drivers will contend with from the final corner is going in towards the Della Roggia chicane, which traditionally would be the second chicane on the Monza circuit. So it alleviates kind of the first corner dramas, as it were, but I reckon, especially towards the middle and then the latter stages of the race, it's going to get pretty spicy.
Yeah, what's better than 12 hyper-competitive drivers doing 400 kph into a chicane? Nothing.
Yeah, I can't wait. This race is to decide the grid for the grand final, just to remind you. No points on offer here for this one. Purely pride and, we said, the all-important grid positions for that last race, and an opportunity especially for Guy Barbara to make some ascensions through the field. Drivers then are ready. The crowd are ready here in Berlin. We are also ready to go for the sprint race of the Nations Cup. And ready to go for the Nations Cup then, for the sprint race here at Monza. Let's see how this one is going to work out. Porsche 962 Group C machines and a no chicane layout. It is going to be absolutely frantic down towards that first braking zone. Sasaki begins this one on pole position with Thomas Labutale alongside on the front row of the grid. Row 2 is headed by Kilian Drummond, and he will be joined by Adriano Corazza, who we know is not afraid of getting his elbows out. Paul Ura heads the third row for Spain with his compatriot Jose Serrano. Those two, you can't seem to separate them pretty much everywhere they go. Kai de Bruyn is next up on the grid in P7 with Takuma Miyazono, the 4-time champion for company alongside. Then Angel Nostroza, tricky qualifying for the Chilean driver. He will have Samuel Cardinal alongside him. The final row of the grid is comprised of Valerio Gallo. His lap time was disallowed in qualifying. Guy Barbara, the only driver who was worse off, courtesy of that spin on his one and only flying lap. So 12 laps, and they're going to tick off pretty quickly here, I reckon.
Yeah, very fast laps around here. Lots of slipstreaming action to come. So it isn't just about pure performance, it's about strategy and positioning your car in the right place at the right time. Almost, you kind of don't want to be Sasaki because you're right at the front of the field. You're giving the toe to everyone else. And I pretty much guarantee that he would not be leading the race going down into the first chicane. But Guy Barbara there getting ready. He's got a lot of work to do, Guy Barbara, after that spin in qualifying. But we know he's quick, we know he's punchy. He's going to unleash all of that here to move forward in today's sprint race.
Yeah, and it's all about being smart, isn't it, as well? You've got to, it's all well having the pace, but you've got to make sure you use it at the right time, and, you know, making sure that you use brains over brawn really is the important factor here. So let's see what will happen then. We're ready to go for the sprint race of the Gran Turismo Nations Cup for the World Series here in Berlin. Takuma Sasaki is going to lead the field towards the timing line, and who will be claiming the checkered flag of the all-important pole position when we go racing then. So Sasaki leads them into the green flag as we go with Labutale and Drummond for company behind. So through in towards what would have been the first chicane, the first braking zone, but now we head into an acceleration zone and we blast in towards the Curva Grande for the first time. And look at the slipstream already coming into effect here for the drivers behind. Sasaki, of course, is punching that hole in the air in front for the drivers, and Labutale is trying to take profit of it. He's having a look on the inside into the Della Roggia, no way through for there. It closes up quite a lot in the sort of first half of that, but nobody making a dive bomb to the inside.
Yeah, a couple of position changes, but not many. Gallo up to P10, Kai de Bruyn up to P6. Drummond now, as we watch him go through the Lesmos. Exit out of here is super important now, up towards the Ascari complex. And is that someone sideways in the background? Probably. These things have over 700 horsepower delivered to those rear wheels. No TC, of course, back in the 80s, just how it should be. as we come through Ascari now. Labutale is falling off the back of Sasaki a little bit, really strong through the middle was Sasaki, but of course he's only 6 tenths ahead, which means he's going to be drawn back in using the slipstream. On board now with Adriano Corazza, a veteran to these events. He's having a look over his shoulder there. Will he go for a move here? Will he stay where he is? Stays there for now. I mean, long race this, so a lot of time to make his moves.
Sort of ends up being a bit of a slipstreaming train, this, doesn't it, here, really? And it's a case of who's going to be able to take advantage of it. A bit sottish curve there on the outside. You can see Adriano Corazza, most experienced driver, also the oldest driver in the Gran Turismo World Series. I mean that's to no discredit to him at all. 36 years of age, and hopefully we'll be able to use that wise head of his to good use. Let's see what happens as we come down towards the first corner for the first time at Racing Spree. Well, Pol Jura is taking advantage with 3 abreast in the background there as well. Jura and Corazza side by side through the curve of Grande. Corazza's going to have the inside line here, and it might open the door here for Kai de Bruyne, who sends it to the inside into the Della Roggia. Can he get 2 for the price of 1? He can. Kai de Bruyne, you buy 1 there and you get 1 free, but he's on the outside, he's onto the curb, onto the rough stuff. Jura's there still, ready to pick his pocket, but nothing doing there for him. Kai de Bruyne muscles his way up and into 4th place.
What a bit of opportunistic driving there from Kai de Bruyne. 2nd to 4th in 1 move. Fantastic. We're used to seeing stuff like this from him. He's not afraid to make the big move. It's Kai de Bruyne. But now, of course, having had that little squabble, that's let that top 3 move away slightly. So now maybe they need to think about working together a little bit to reel them back in again. Jose Serrano, your winner last time out in London in P7 right now, dropping a place from his starting position and maybe just not quite looking as aggressive as he needs to be so far. Maybe just thinking about things, and now he's looking for a move on Corazza. They're going to be side by side down to the Parabolica. Serrano later on the brakes, up into P6 he goes. Corazza there tries to hit the cutback, runs into the back of Serrano. Luckily, no spin there.
It might also allow an opportunity for Gallo to attack as well. So this is Corazza versus Jura side by side, but look at Kai de Bruyne using the double slipstream to great effect to the inside of Corazza, to the inside of Jura, over the curb, bit of contact in the mid part of it, but somehow just about keeps it on the straight and narrow on the curb there, as well as Labutale has now switched places with Sasaki for the race lead. We come through the curve of Grande, and is Sasaki going to repay the favour on the Frenchman as we head in towards the Della Roggia? Nothing doing there for him, but if they start squabbling, that's going to bring the likes of De Bruyne, Jura, Serrano, all who are close behind, right back into play, and it might present a door opening here for Kylian Drumont, who's just keeping his powder dry for now.
Thing is, it is super tempting to make that move back again. You think, yeah, you know what, I've just been overtaken. How dare they? I'm going to take that place back and get my position back. But if you do that, you end up having this little fight, unnecessary fight, and you're not on the racing line. You're not taking the best line around the circuit. It means people behind you gain and people in front of you pull away. So it's good just to think about your moves sometimes. Go there, clocking the fastest lap. Here is the overtake. Not too dramatic, just using the slipstream. Through goes Labutale.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because Labutale didn't manage to make that move before he crossed the timing line there as well. So that's something to note, especially as we come on to the final stages of this race. So if you're in the slipstream, depending on how close you are coming out that final corner, getting past before you take the checkered flag may not be a possibility. Now, what can Kylian Drumont do? Sits there in 3rd place. Look at it behind as well. Jura versus De Bruyne. They're now side by side down the start-finish straight. Jura's got the outside line, which, of course, we'll switch to the inside line when we come through into the braking zone. But I don't think he's going to need to really wait until we go into the Della Roggia because he's got so much momentum through the curve of Grande and chops the nose off of Kai de Bruyne, who has no opportunity but to get out of the throttle. Serrano's there ready to try and pounce here as well. Can the 2 Spaniards work together? What about Gallo and Corazza there in the background as well? So Jura's now through into 4th. De Bruyne down into 5th, Serrano into 6th, Gallo in 7th, and Corazza in 8th. But Jura's picked up a small penalty there, presumably for track limits, and that is going to drop him back and compromise him quite hugely because look at how many cars are line astern behind him.
Yes, it's a 1 second penalty, and the way that's applied, when you get to the penalty line, the car basically goes full on the brakes. The car goes, so people behind you don't go flying into the back of you, because that would be a bit problematic. But it's more than a second, especially around here when it's such a high-speed course. I mean, here we go. The bar will fill up when we get to the line. The brakes will be applied, and you'll see for yourself just how devastating even a 1 second penalty is in these races. Here we go.
Yep, so moves off the racing line there, does Pol Jura, and the rest of the field is just going to come streaming through, and his heart is going to drop to his boots, unfortunately, and his position will as well. Down to 9th place there for Pol Jura. Sasaki back in front of Labutale, meanwhile, at the sharp end of this one. and making a break in this race is going to be particularly difficult. As we said, no points on offer, just to remind you. This is all to decide the grid for the grand final. But of course, if you've got that clear view down towards the first corner in what is going to be a particularly long grand final race, it will just give you that little bit more confidence. But Lebousley there is ready to pick his pocket and does so. Through the Curva Grande, the Frenchman now back in front once more.
Yeah, we'll see a bit of this now until the last few laps. Just kind of position your car in the right place at the right time. And you might think, oh, why do they keep overtaking each other? It's because they get something called a slipstream or a draft, where if you drive behind the car in front of you, you don't face that same air resistance that they do, and you're able just to go faster, basically. You're able just to accelerate a bit quicker. Oh, Gallo and Miyazono. We've not mentioned Miyazono at all in this race, have we? Miyazono started in P8, up to P7 now, and slowly starting to make his way through the grid. But, yeah, a little bit anonymous in this one, Kimi Miyazono.
A bit anonymous so far in the Nations Cup at all, really. He's only had 1 point after, of course, only 1 round in the championship. But, yeah, it hasn't particularly been anything to write home about. I mean that with the greatest of respect, given the performances that we've seen from him, especially in the Manufacturers' Cup over the years as well, and also here in the Nations Cup as well. So let's hope that this is the weekend where we start seeing Takuma Miyazono's real pace shining through. He's now side by side here with Adriano Corazza. He's got the overspeed, he's got the inside line, and he's back through and into 6th place with a lovely move on the brakes there.
Yeah, decisive on the brakes there, but again, you have to think maybe slowing up the cars behind him. The gap between him and Serrano, 1.3 seconds, that's outside the drafting range, and he has 3 cars behind him. Corazza, Ura and Gallo, all incredibly fast people, just all thinking that I need to be first, I need to be leading this train. It's difficult sometimes to manage that ego.
Oh, look at this. Drumont is ready to try and pounce here on Sasaki. He's got great straight line speed, but just to get out the throttle there through the Curva Grande, didn't he? Just trying to find his way through on the outside. The problem is, of course, that corner then becomes a bit of a tighter radius, and you can't make it through with the same amount of speed that you would have been carrying would you have been on the normal racing line. The upshot is that Drumont not able to make an overtaking attempt. Serrano's got a 1-second penalty there as well. That'll be down to track limits, so Serrano is going to face the same bother as his compatriot, who's managed to recover to 6th place after dropping down to 9th for the same discretion earlier on.
Now, I've noticed Kai de Bruyn's got a really, really effective line through the chicane, through that De La Rosa chicane there, just because he seems to know exactly where the track limits are. Serrano tried to follow him, slightly outside of that, bam. Track limit penalty, you can see, because the gap comes down by about half a second every time we go through there. Maybe this will be enough for De Bruyn to get to the back, but he's doing it without help, so it's hard for 4th place to catch up to 3rd.
On board here then with Drumont, on the brakes we go in towards the Parabolica. Serrano then served that penalty, drops 1 place behind Pole Euro, but that's actually pretty good damage limitation given that penalty. He'll have just darted straight back into the slipstream as soon as he possibly could with Euro, and the upshot is he doesn't lose too much time as a result of that. Guy Barber was given a warning, by the way, for bump drafting, who hasn't particularly made much of an impression on this race down in 12th position. Likewise, Angelina Stroza having something of a quiet one as well down in P10. On board here we are with Drumont though. Look at the overspeed he's got there with Sasaki as they come through this fast right-hander, and Sasaki's going to try and defend the line here. Is Drumont going to think about it to the inside? Kind of has a look, but the door's not really ajar there. But De Bruyn, I'll tell you what, it was a 3-way fight a lap or so ago. It's now become a proper 4-way tussle here.
Yeah, Kai de Bruyn's got pace. He's fast. Here's Corazza and Miyazono, another pass Ura as well in the background. Like, you're going to make it 3 wide, is he? Yeah, why not? Let's go 3 wide. Who's that in the background? Is that Gallo? Should we make it 4 wide? Yeah, let's try and make it 4 wide. Gallo in there as well. Freight training. Poor Takuma Miyazono, just a passenger there. Ura and Gallo taking P6 and 7th respectively. Corazza up to 8th.
Well, Miyazono would have thought he left the handbrake on, given the fact that he was to go backwards at such a fast rate of knots with 3 cars driving past him in the space of a couple of 100 metres. On board here, meanwhile, with Kai de Bruyn, who sniffed an opportunity in his first podium in the Gran Turismo World Series. Let's see if this is the result that will be coming his way. You can see the pace that he's got and the ascension that he's made through the field, up 3 places from where he started. Likewise, also Valerio Gallo's had a good run of things. He's up 5 places from where he started to P6, and you just get the sense that Kai de Bruyn just keeping his powder dry, waiting for the right opportunity, and he's going to be there ready when it matters.
I've always thought Kai de Bruyn has what it takes to win one of his events. He's a really fast guy, but he's just not quite had the complete package. Just up ahead, Sasaki and Drumont have a little bit of side-to-side contact. But as you say, Tom, it's lap 8. Right now, making a lunge of your life isn't really going to mean anything. It's just going to show your hand. So just do this, get close, be close enough to strike. That's all you've got to do. And then figure it all out on that last lap.
I love the detail on those onboard driver POV shots. You can see the turbo boost gauge going up and down like a fiddler's elbow, and the drivers soaring away at the wheel as they make their way through this legendary circuit. It is just a fantastic place to go racing, and what a car to do it in, which would have probably been on Monza back in the day in the World Sports Car Championship as it was known back then. I have to say, Leboutelet's not been too troubled for the race lead over the last lap or so. He's got 0.6 of a second in his pocket, nothing really to write home about, still very much in slipstreaming range of the trio that are chasing him there behind, but he's again just not been bothered too much over the last couple of laps, and I wonder if he can use that to his advantage to just thwart the challenge for now.
I don't know if you noticed it, but Sasaki actually just pulled out of the slipstream, so he wants to be second right now. We're starting to get into the 4D chess moment of this race, but it's going to be between these four guys, I think. I'm not sure Ura has the pace to catch up to this little quartet as they go on to start their 9th lap, and everyone's now just trying to figure out, okay, where's the best place to overtake? Where do I want to be leading? Sasaki here thinking, okay, I'll have a go here. He'll go up into P1, Leboutelet P2. Will Drummond follow him through or not? He might do. He's looking. There goes Drummond as well. Is he going to go for it? He goes for both of them. Drummond decides he wants to lead the race now, and up to P1 goes Kylian Drummond.
Well, now he becomes the hunter to becoming the hunted. So let's see how this works out here for Kylian Drummond, because of course he doesn't have the advantage of that slipstream, the hole being punched in the air in front of him, unlike the other three drivers who are behind. So you would imagine that Drummond will be a little bit vulnerable in terms of the lack of straight line speed that he'll be suffering from. There's still 3 laps left to go in this one, so keep an eye out for that gap with Euro. What's he, 2.5 seconds off the back of those 4? If they really do start getting their elbows out and duffing one another up, then it's not out of the realms of possibility. I have to say, I do agree with you. I think it's quite unlikely at the moment. Out of Ascari we go, though, meanwhile. Now, what's the retaliation going to be for the likes of Sasaki and for Leboutelet? Down the back straight, Sasaki's on the inside line here then, just pulls out the slipstream as he did last time around against Thomas Leboutelet. So we know that these drivers behind have got the pace, and they're just biding their time, waiting for the opportunity. Someone who was waiting for the right opportunity was Kylian Drummond. Double slipstream there, a gap sort of opening on the inside, and then you saw Sasaki go back over to the normal racing line, which allowed the door to be properly opened, and then Drummond just walked through it beautifully.
Yeah, a lot of faith there in his other drivers as we start to get spicy now. Sasaki pushed to the grass. Kind of brought there's contact between the two. They're just about staying on the course. 2 by 2 now to the chicane. Who's to come out on top? Kind of Bruin up to P3. Leboutelet now back up to the lead. No, it's Drummond. They are the two countrymen hitting each other. Kind of Bruin is now up into P2 and Drummond down to P4. They're starting to see Mick Hazal there watching on thinking, guys, what are you doing? Stop that.
Yeah, you get the impression that this isn't going to be a friendly fight. It's going to be a barroom brawl towards the end of this one, don't you? If that corner was anything to take stock of. Takumi Miyazono's just lost another place, by the way. He's down into 9th position. Again, just not a particularly brilliant race there for him. And Gallo's charge looks to have stalled in 6th position as well. He's about half a second off the back of Pole Euro. This, of course, counts for the grid position for the grand final, just to remind you. Now, on board then with Kylian Drummond, part of the team that made up the Nations Cup Championship winning outfit for Subaru back in 2022 and held in very high esteem within the Gran Turismo circles, bounced onto the scene in 2022, and ever since then he has never looked back. But through the final corner of Ascari, or Alboreto as it's now known, with Kylian Drummond here, and what can he do? We begin lap 11 out of 12, so 2 more to go then here for this one. And last time around through the Curva Grande is where we started seeing drivers pushing the limits, getting their elbows out, as De Bruyne now hits the front. He's used that slipstream, used the inside line, and he's taken the race lead away.
And leading for the first time now is Kai De Bruyne, but for how much longer? Sasaki back through that. I thought there was contact between the two. That would have been a huge crash if there were. Kai De Bruyne is leading for now. But Tom, do you want to be leading? Oh, he's got a penalty.
Yeah, they're under investigation. They were under investigation.
It was a
track limits.
Oh, Kai De Bruyne again, just his own worst enemy. A 1 second penalty there. Let's have a look at the overtaking that he did to get into lead in the first place. To me, this is fine until then. A little bit of contact between the two, and Leboutelet and Drummond had a little bit of contact as well. But I don't really want to watch this right now. I want to watch the what's happening at the front of the field.
It's going to be into here, isn't it? Yeah, he just biffs into the back of Leboutelet, which sends him into the side of Drummond.
You can't do much there. If they're stopping on the apex and you're there, there's not much you can really do, I don't think. But a 1 second penalty is going to completely ruin his race. What a shame. That could have been a win for him.
Well, let's see how it works out. So he drops then down into 4th place. His only hope now is that those top 3 will still squabble. I mean, he's still in slipstreaming range. He's not out of the realms of possibility of this one. Can Kai de Bruyne have a fight back here on this final lap? So we come to start it then at Monza. It's Sasaki, Leboutelet and Drumont trailing off the back by 0.6 of a second. Is the luckless Kai de Bruyne. And keep an eye out for Jura and Gallo, who look set to start squabbling behind. Here comes Leboutelet on Sasaki, down the start-finish straight into the Curva Grande. Drumont makes it 3 abreast. On the outside is Drumont, in the middle is Leboutelet. On the inside here is Sasaki, who ducks out of it. He decides to let the 2 Frenchmen start battling amongst one another, and will wait for the opportunity to come his way. Into the De La Roche chicane, Drumont's got the inside line, Leboutelet's on the outside, Park's still on the apex. Nothing doing there for Sasaki because there's no opportunity to use any extra momentum that he had, and the upshot is coming through to the Lesmos. It's Drumont who's got the advantage, and De Bruyne is right back in the picture in 4th as well.
Yeah, French roadblock there. You can't help but think that might not have been a little bit coordinated by the guys in the blue Porsche 962s, just making sure no one else can attack. But Drumont leads now as we come into the last half of the last lap here in the sprint race. Leboutelet second, Sasaki third, and Kai de Bruyne, even with penalty, holding on there in 4th position. Of course, reminders will set the grid for the grand final coming up after this. But Kylian Drumont looking like he's got this one sewn up, Tom.
Well, coming out onto the back straight and in towards the Parabolica, I have to say, I kind of agree with you. Half a second is the advantage he's got in his back pocket, and has Kylian Drumont pulled an absolute blinder here? Could we see a French 1-2 occupying the grid for the grand final? No one's close enough to send a Lancer on the inside. They're going to have to now be relying on a mistake out of this final corner, which no one seems to make, and the upshot is it is going to be a French 1-2 in the sprint race. Kylian Drumont wins it from Thomas Leboutelet. Takuma Sasaki in 3rd, ahead of Kai de Bruyne in 4th, with Jura completing the top 5. Well, it promised so much, that race, and the upshot is Kai de Bruyne lost out quite dramatically, and Kylian Drumont managed to take victory ahead of his countrymen.
Yeah, a bit of definitely coordination there. I'm calling it collusion. It's here right now. But I mean, why not? Yeah, conspiracy theory. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, these guys obviously race together a lot. They know how each other they race on circuit. You might as well make sure you have the best possible chance of winning in the grand final. A couple of people who didn't have a great race there, Karatza and Ankal in a Stroza. Miyazono as well struggling. Not the pace we're used to seeing from him, but yeah, French 1-2. Looking good for the French guys.
Yeah, well, let's have a look then at some highlights from that race. It promised so much, didn't it? Sasaki started it on pole position. Leboutelet and Drumont, who were pretty close behind. It was always going to be a case of a slipstreaming battle. We just didn't know who was going to emerge on top of it. We saw some great progress in that one for the likes of Valerio Gallo, and especially for Kai de Bruyne there as well, who made some good ground from where they started on the grid. Leboutelet, Sasaki and Drumont were pretty much constant at the front of this one. Jura and Serrano were there as well until they suffered from penalties, which dropped them right down the order and has given the mother and father of all jobs going into that grand final. This was Sasaki taking the lead of the race away. Drumont, though, picked the pocket of them both coming down into the chicane. That was absolutely brilliant there from Drumont. He just seemed to have a little bit left in his locker, didn't he? And the upshot is, after he and Leboutelet worked together supremely well, they occupy the top 2 positions on the grid for the grand final. No points on this one, just to remind you, but they will, of course, be hoping to get more to take it to the grand final later.
Sorry. All right, Tom, let me get in a word in edgeways, honestly. I'm down here with Kylian Drumont, who's, of course, the winner of the sprint race. Give him a big round of applause. So, first question. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Because whatever you had for breakfast, you should have for breakfast every day.
Yeah, I had a really good breakfast. Bacon.
It's important.
Orange juice, that's it.
That's what you need. That's the breakfast, literally, of champions. We're starting to see a little bit of, obviously we've had like the Spanish 1-2, is the French 1-2, the next new thing for Gran Turismo World Series?
Yeah, now it's your turn for France. I mean, yeah, me and Thomas were really good of the manufacturers. Now it's your turn for the nations. Let's see what can happen. Yeah,
you're getting some good synergy. Was there lots of plotting beforehand, or is it just happening naturally?
Yeah, I mean, let's see what's happened in the next race, but we are really, really good with Thomas, so let's see where can from with France. Yeah. On the top, I guess, I hope.
What do you think, a French 1-2 maybe? Well, you're going to have to keep it going all the way into that grand final, but congratulations on the sprint race. Let's throw it over to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, cheers, Jules. Thanks for throwing to me rather than crashing like I did with you. Anyway, Kylian Drumont then manages to take victory ahead of Thomas Labouche. Sasaki completing the podium in that one ahead of Kai de Bruyne there as well. Some good progress from a couple of drivers, including Kai de Bruyne and Valerio Gallo, as we said there, Jimmy. Do you think we can read much into these results? Do you think it'll have a reflection on what we're expecting for the grand final?
I mean, it's one of those races, it's a slipstream fest. So if you do have a bad start or a small mistake, you're going to end up falling down the order regardless. It's that close now. So, I mean, obviously you want to be as far forward as you can in qualifying. It makes things a lot easier for you. But you know, we've seen Miyazono, for example, win from this sort of position before. Serrano as well, Jura, Gallo, even in a Stroza. So I don't think we can read too much into it.
It's interesting there within Stroza as well. I mean, look at the gap between Karatza and Stroza. What, 4 and a bit seconds, nearly 5 seconds or so separating them. So I'm keen to see how that's going to work out. There must have been something going on there for Angel Stroza. Anyway, let's forget about the sprint race and the results and all of that sort of stuff because we're going into the grand final and we're changing things again completely on their head. We're going from Porsche 962s at Monza with no chicane over to a different circuit, a different car, a different layout and different conditions.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are probably familiar with our car by now. The Red Bull X 2019 competition here at the Red Bull Ring. As you say, different conditions. We've been told these tyres, they don't tend to put the intermediate heavyweights in for no reason, do they, Tom?
No, I get the impression there could be some weather on the horizon. The thing is, we don't know when, we don't know where, and we don't know how heavy it's going to be. So there is going to be a proper race of strategy, and I imagine a fair bit of luck coming into this one.
Here's our X 2019. More power, less weight, more aero. What's not what to like about that, honestly?
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. The Red Bull X 2019, and I have to say, having had a go in these things in the wet, I mean, it makes your bum twitch like a rabbit's nose, I've got to be honest with you, because they are tricky things in the dry, although it's probably something to do with my driving style.
Yeah, you're saying that. I actually had to go myself trying to get through T3 at the Red Bull Ring in mixed conditions, and I'm not someone who drives this car very often, so please don't judge me too hard.
You've got the excuses of a race.
Yeah, they're already out. So here's the dry, you know, nice and simple. I can do that one. We're basically looking for the marker, top left-hand side here. I brake to the 100, try to brake a little bit later here, down through the gears, to the apex nicely, soft on the front legs, don't spin the rear tyres, and out. Almost like I've done it before. It's a little bit of wheel spin. And here's that line there from the aerial camera. We're using all the circuit on the left-hand side, just making sure we open up the corner as much as possible, roll it through the apex, and a nice and soft an exit. But it's a little bit of a different story in the wet, of course. So these guys threw me out with some intermediate tyres on the circuit that I think probably should have been wet tyres, but I gave it a good go anyway. Completely different story. So we're going up towards the same corner, but I'm braking off the racing line, middle of the circuit, then coming over to the racing line, wide of the apex and soft on throttle and exit, just to try and get through and not touch that rubber to surface. Because in the wet, that racing line where all the rubber's been pressed into the track, it's slick. It's like driving on ice. Here it is again from the aerial view. Again, braking offline, slowly coming across as we get to the corner, bit wide of the apex, and then nice and easy on exit. And I only spun like 4 times trying to do that.
You made it look seamless. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, looking at the difference in lines there, and you know, I'm keen to see how the drivers are going to use that to their advantage, you know, especially as the track dries up, gets wetter, and you know, if you're on intermediate tyres, you're going to be looking for the wet patches, and the converse, of course, if you're on the dry tyres.
Yeah, basically, you know, you're using the wet lines when you're sort of caught out on tyres. Otherwise, you can kind of do what you want. But of course, we have our predict the winner here, and come on, guys. What's going on?
Yeah, that's Takuma Miyazono, who's been taking the lion's share of the vote, is probably fair to say. Given the fact that he's had a bit of a dog's dinner of a day so far, I think that's... look, nothing's impossible in the world of Gran Turismo, let's be honest, but it's not gone his way so far. However, Kylian Drumont, you can see down there, with just 4% of the share. Well, I suppose if nothing else, it will give Takuma Miyazono reason for confidence.
Do you reckon he looks at it and goes, oh no.
Not again.
Expectation.
Not again. Mum, you've got to stop doing it. Stop voting for it. No, he's a very talented driver, is Takuma Miyazono, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. And also for the likes of Valerio Gallo, we saw some great progress through the field for the Italian in that one. If he can continue making the same level of progress, he'd be on the top step.
Yeah, I mean Gallo's good in his cars. He's always been good in the X 2019, so we'll see if he can come through.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Well, not too far away then from getting this one underway for the grand final of the Nations Cup. Let's go down to Jules before we do, however.
We are but moments away from the Nations Cup grand final. I'm very excited. Berlin, are you ready? It all comes down to this. Round 2 grand final is a go!
Ready to go then for the grand final of the Nations Cup here for World Series 2 in Berlin. This is going to be hugely exciting, and the track is wet. We knew that weather was going to come into it. We weren't quite expecting it, though, at the start of the race. So who's going to plump for what tyres, and who will be leading down towards the first corner, crucially, as well. Kylian Drumont starts as one on pole position, a legacy of his victory in the sprint race. He's joined on the front row by his countryman, Thomas Leboutelet. Sasaki heads row 2. And he has got Kai de Bruin, the company, unlucky to miss out on a podium here earlier on. Pol Jura heads the third row of the grid, and he's got Valerio Gallo alongside him. Gallo, of course, making good progress, as we said, in that sprint race. Jose Serrano next up in P7, and Takuma Miyazono, who is the favourite in the Predict the Winner campaign, lines up P8 with Adriana Carrazza very close behind, and then Angel Inestrosa, the two South Americans, on the penultimate row of the grid. Guy Barbara in 11th position, and rounding it out is Samuel Cardinal, the Canadian. So we know the track is wet, and everybody has decided to start on the intermediate compound tyre. We're looking at the fact that there's some wet patches, but they're mostly offline here, Jimmy. That seems pretty sensible to me.
Yeah, but it does mean if you're going side by side with someone, there are patches of the circuit that your intermediate tyre are not going to be able to deal with. So it's something to think about when overtaken. Also, is that these guys, I can guarantee they practice mostly in the dry. So this is going to be maybe uncharted territory for them. I expect they'll struggle a little bit, but it'll definitely make the racing more entertaining, I think.
Certainly will. Well, penny for the thoughts of that man, Kylian Drumont, and what's going to be running through his mind at the moment. Sitting on pole position with his countryman Thomas Leboutelet behind. They put in a great formation in that sprint race, but can they repeat it here in this grand final? They're out of the final corner and coming to the timing line. This, of course, is the all-important race for points for Gran Turismo World Series 2 for the Nations Cup. We drive to the line here at the Red Bull Ring. Weather in play, and 30 laps of action to come. The lights go green, and we go racing for the grand final of the Nations Cup here in Berlin. So Drumont leads them up to turn 1, and then Leboutelet, then Sasaki, but it's turn 3, the first big braking zone. That's the real opportunity for overtaking, and Drumont, of course, does not have the advantage of the slipstream, but he did have the advantage of a nice clean run out of the first corner. Sasaki looks to try and pounce here on Leboutelet. On the brakes we go. It's very close behind there as well. Serrano versus Jura. De Bruyn's into the side of Sasaki as well. That's going to drop Sasaki down a few places, and Gallo is now through on his inside as well as Pol Jura. So 2 places lost in the space of 1 corner there for Takuma Sasaki. Not the start of the race he'll have wanted. Gallo, meanwhile, is on the inside of Jura and looks like he's made it stick down into turn 5. Serrano versus Miyazono side by side in the background. Action everywhere you look on the start of this race.
3 places now lost for Sasaki. Gallo up 2, Kai de Bruin up 1 now. I'm sure the stewards will be having a little look at that one. It's quite an aggressive move there. Serrano now getting by Sasaki. That's 4 places lost for the Japanese driver, and now he's back with his countryman Takuma Miyazono. A terrible start there for the Japanese driver, but it just goes to show that qualifying doesn't always guarantee you a good start to the race. On board now, Sasaki, and look, he's that far back from where he started. You can see the spray being kicked up on the cars in front does hamper visibility a little bit, but not too much, enough to still see where you're going. But onto lap 2 now, and the driver's using all the curb on the exit there, so confident to do that on this intermediate tyre. We've got to be careful, they might still find a wet patch yet.
Yep, Carrazza's lost a couple of places from where he started. Gallo was the big winner on the opening lap. He made up 2 positions into P4. Into the braking zone of turn 3 we go. The closing speed there always makes me wince a little bit because they absolutely slam it on the anchors and just about get it stopped before making contact with the other drivers. Now Jura and Serrano, they're in formation here in 5th and 6th position. Can the 2 Spaniards, who of course I remind you were the top 2 finishers in the reverse order of where they are now in the first World Series event back in June. So Serrano and Jura with a lot of work to do in 6th and 5th place there respectively. Kai de Bruin meanwhile up into 3rd, but we know that incident on the first lap at the moment is under investigation.
We'll see what the stewards say on that one. But meanwhile, it's Dumont and Bouteille, De Bruin. Dumont with a 1 second gap as it is. So here's a replay. Didn't see this one. This is Carranza on board for P9 currently.
On the brakes.
Oh, yeah, pumped to the back of EMEA Zone there and Guy Barbara in contact. I mean, drove in the back of him. I don't know what you want to say about that one.
Yeah, not ideal at all there for Agile Carrazza. We know he's not afraid of getting his elbows out and often gets into a bit of trouble for it as well. The upshot is he's down in 11th position, so not good at all there for him. Guy Barber was the big sort of profit on that. Here's Kai De Bruyne attacking against Thomas Laboutelet. Disappointed to miss out on that podium in the sprint race was De Bruyne. He makes amends for it with a send to the inside down into turn 3 and up into second position is the Dutchman then. Great start to this race then here for him so far.
Kai De Bruyne looking strong today here at Berlin. I mean, could this finally be the time we see Kai battle for a win here? I don't know. Too early
now
to
you've
say.
done it.
I probably jinxed it, but yeah, on lap 3 of a third of that race, is that what you call it?
Well, look, we're on lap 3, Jimmy, but I have to say, look at the circuit. You can see a few dry lines sort of just beginning to start appearing there, and I'm interested to see how much the spray is going to start to dissipate over the course of this one, because if there's no active rain falling, of course, these intermediate tyres, they're working all right here so far, but when's the crossover point going to come where you're going to think about dry tyres? There we are, look at the crossover lap times. Where are we now in terms of them? We're 1:13s, we're not too far away from that dry tyre, really.
We're about there, so basically, it's just who wants to blink first, because one, the tyre's got to come up, and two, the racetrack becomes a lot narrower when you go onto that soft tyre, because if you even touch a wet patch, you get, I speak from experience, you go flying off into the undergrowth. So no further action there from the start of the race. So Kai De Bruyne in second place, and now that captain, Kylian Drumont.
And look at Valerio Gallo, he's bringing himself right into the picture here then as well. Carrazza, Barbara and Miyazono are under investigation for that first corner skirmish that we saw a few moments ago. But now you've got 3 drivers lining astern. Oh, was there a bit of contact there between Laboutelet and De Bruyne down into turn 4?
And there might have been, I'm not sure, we didn't get a good angle of it. Kai De Bruyne now defend from Laboutelet, they just chopped across the nose there of the French driver, saying, no thank you sir, I'm taking this for now. But yeah, might have been a smattering of contact, but I'm sure. So in the midfield, we're just behind this man, we have the Spanish Euro and Serrano. Gallo there moving offline. Maybe to try and break the toe, maybe to try and cool the tyres down, because it looks like you can see now a dry line forming. So we are getting to the point now, I think, where they'll be starting to consider the idea of the soft compound tyre. I wonder who's going to blink first.
Well, that's all well and good, but look at the clouds overhead. I mean, some of them are looking still pretty dark in the distance there, aren't they? Oh, De Bruyne's wide out of turn 1, isn't he, here? That's going to put Laboutelet right on his rear wing and also allow an opportunity for Valerio Gallo as we come into turn 3. So into the braking zone we go. Laboutelet's got the inside line. Gallo's got the momentum, but no room to use it. Oh, and a biff into the back there as Jura, sort of half-season opportunity, but makes a bit of a meal of his braking and has to back out a bit and just allow Gallo an opportunity to hold on to that 4th place.
Yeah, a bit clumsy by Jura there, just sort of running into the back of Gallo. There's nowhere to go there, running to the back of him. So I don't think there'll be a penalty or anything, but just maybe a little warning from the stewards saying, come on, keep it clean. We've got a long race to go, yeah, boys, so don't be shunting each other on lap 5. De Bruyne falling back a little bit from Drumont after that mistake at G1, but it just goes to show how narrow the margins are. Again, the sideways moment for Kai De Bruyne. He's really struggling now on his inters. Maybe he's burned them up.
I was just about to say, yeah, I was overheating the tyres now then here. I mean, in terms of the tyre wear, they're all about sort of the same. Oh, Laboutelet's the first driver to blink, so P3, Laboutelet's come in. We were asking that at the end of the last lap, and at the end of this one, Laboutelet's come in. He's going to stick a set of, surely, soft tyres on, because if the rain is going to be set to come down later on, if you stuck anything other than softs on, you'd be a bit of a wally, to be honest with you. Onto the soft he goes. Laboutelet out and into the circuit, but where's he going to emerge?
Well, I don't understand, though, surely. If you're like Cardinal and Estroza, Carrazza, you take a punt too. You go for it, because you're not going to catch him on speed at that point. But I would love to see how Laboutelet handles this as Gallo comes under attack from Jura. Jura up the inside, Serrano's going to follow him through. They come 2 at a time to the Spaniards, and there goes Jura. Can Serrano make it through as well, using the draft of Jura, who pulls across to help his compatriot? That's teamwork there. These guys are working together.
I love that. And Sasaki's there sort of lurking in the background here, isn't he, after the challenging start that the Japanese driver has had to this race. I really am not sure what's going on with Kim Miyazono at the moment, by the way. We're used to seeing him up the sharp end pretty consistently throughout this one. And, normally we see him doing a bit of a different strategy, so he'll be a bit all over the place. But, here in these conditions, you have no choice but to be on the tyres that you're on, really. He's not made much of an impression at all here tonight.
No, not really. Just maybe not gelling. He's been very busy. He's driving real life now in the NLS and Nürburgring Langstrecke series. And might I say, by the way, fastest sector 2 by Thomas de Boutelet.
So soft tyres are the way to go. There we go. Serrano and Barbara ready to take profit of that one. They've listened to the advice. Now, the question is, have they chosen the right time? Because, look, the dry line, very much prominent here. You can see it's pretty slick still, though, offline. You've got to be quite careful because he dived to the inside, even though you've got those slick tyres on in particular and you're sending it through. You're not going to get the car stopped because you're just going to have no grip coming into the braking zone. On the intermediate tyres, you might be all right if you've got enough rubber left underneath you. You've not burned them up. But this is the problem. All the while they're on this drying circuit, they're going to be slower than the soft-shelled runners who are just going to be closing that gap down, even though they're at the back of the field.
Lap times are falling, Tom. About 14, 15 second, 1:15 some people there, from the 1:13 from earlier on. These intermediate tyres are just falling apart. They've got to get onto a soft tyre. The Boutelet, I think, has called it well because we see how he is through that middle sector, what his lap time is. He's not set a full lap time yet without a outlap. So we've got 1:13.0 to beat. I won't be surprised to see him dip into the 12s here, and he'll be the overall leader when they all pit.
No doubt about it. Now, to the top two come into the pit lane. Yeah, no worries. So Ura in there as well. Gallo surely is going to follow them. I just reckon we're going to see a flying formation with everybody else coming into the box because any longer on that one, it used to be a bit of a fool, really. You have to sit for the current conditions. But the question is, Le Boutelet, Serrano and Barbara, what sort of inroads have they been able to make relative to the other drivers around them? The question will be here for Le Boutelet in particular because he was the first driver to blink, and has he got the lead of the race back here from Kylian Drumont as a result of that early pit stop? Comes out of the first corner and he is now back into the lead of the race, and he's got a bit of a cushion here, and Serrano's picked his pocket there as well, so that's worked out quite nicely there for Jose Serrano, who now splits the two Frenchmen in seconds.
Le Boutelet went 6/10 faster than anyone on his first full lap there on the slick tyre, so that was the right choice. I say maybe they all boxed a little bit too late. It was a bit of a gamble by Le Boutelet, but it did pay off. It's put him in the front of the pack now, and everybody else who sort of followed suit. Serrano boxed early as well, has moved some other few places, so that was the right choice to do that. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if it continues this way, if it continues to dry, or whether we're due more rain or not.
Yeah, the clouds you can see looking still pretty menacing overhead. There's a big dark one right up in the middle of the middle sector there, and I mean, look, I'm no weather expert, but I have lived in Great Britain for pretty much all of my life. I have to say, that is looking pretty menacing and pretty ominous indeed. You had no choice but to change over to the dry tyres. You can try and eke it out on the intermediate tyres. You're going to hemorrhage so much time there. Anything you'd have gained from not making that extra pit stop, you'd have ended up losing from the fact that everybody else around you would have been so much faster. So they had no other choice but to blink at that point, and it's been a great profit there for Thomas Le Boutelet and for Jose Serrano. And let's see now what happens with the weather. If it starts to fall in a light intensity, they might be all right if they can keep heating to the tyres. But if it's an absolute deluge, intermediates or wet, they've got to be the only way to go. And do you blink early? Do you chance it and hope that it'll dry up and then wait till later? It's a proper gamble, a proper guessing game that no one really knows how to work out.
You've got to just drive to the conditions at this point. It is dry, the dry tyre is fast, just stay on that tyre. I mean, you can't just go, oh, it looks a bit cloudy out, I'm going to switch to the wet. You'll just lose all your time you've gained. But you can see out there, it is slippery. It's not full slick conditions yet. There is a dry line, yes. There's also a lot of wet on the circuit still. If you catch that in this car, the crash happens so quickly, you don't even realise what's happened. You're already in the wall. So right now, the Boutelet Serrano handling at the best. Now, 1-2 Serrano, again, from someone who seemed a bit anonymous in the sprint race, is just doing what he does, climbing up the field, and is now looking at the back of the leader and gaining. Can we see another win, maybe, for Jose Serrano today? It's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, Jose Serrano has absolutely come alive here in this grand final. He's got the overspeed. First corner, not really the place you're going to be making a pass. Needs to hope that he gets a strong exit out of there, but has a bit of a slide actually on the curb there. Le Boutelet gets great attraction, and that just denies an opportunity for Serrano to try and launch an attack into turn 3. No dive bombs into there, not at this stage of the race. We're only 1/3 through out of the race distance, but look at how dark that cloud is. Looking overhead, look at how ominous it is here at the Red Bull Ring. And now Serrano closer than ever before on Thomas Laboutelet, who goes for a sort of half defensive line down that back straight, but holds on to the race lead coming into 4.
Knows at the back of this little train, it's Guy Barber. He's managed to bring himself back up from pretty much the back of the grid up to P7 now. Only a couple of seconds off the lead. I mean, it is the back of his train, but he's there. If there's a mistake, he will be there to capitalise. So, good performance so far from the Australian driver. And then we see this every time. He makes a mistake, comes back through, and then finishes pretty high, but could have done better if he qualified well. He needs to get that qualifying sorted, I think.
Yeah, that was his Achilles heel. You know, he sort of put him on the back foot courtesy of the fact that he started right down the field in the sprint race. Look at the live points rankings. If it landed as it was now, it would be great for Jose Serrano because he would have a bit of a comfortable cushion going into the penultimate round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Los Angeles in November. But there's plenty of time between now and when the checkered flag will fly here in this race. On board we are here with Kai de Bruyn. Ever the opportunist, ever chasing his first podium in the GT World Series. Into turn 3 we go. And such is the legacy of the race that we've had here for this one. We haven't really had any breakaway battles, no divergence on soft, medium or hard compounds or strategies. That's why we're on lap 11 and you've got, what, 6 or 7 drivers all separated by a second or so effectively out on track.
Yeah, I mean, it is that close right now, and it will continue to be that close until the checkered flag falls, I imagine, as we keep watching Jose Serrano. The thing is, if you make a move, you just open yourself up to attack from somewhere else, so you really have to make sure you are 100% sure you want to do that. You've got to be decisive. Gallo right now, they're looking onto the wet line. I always get a bit scared when they do that, but yeah, they managed to seem to make the tyre work even whilst dousing it in water, so here we are then. Look, the top 6, that's 6 drivers there in that frame. They're there. So close right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, they're all sort of keeping their powder dry. I mean, they're looking a bit scrappy coming down this start-finish race, thinking about a bit of a move, but no one's really doing a big send to the inside at the moment. They know it's a long race. They know that the likelihood is, I mean, look, in the background there, it all looks nice and calm and cool in terms of the weather, but Inestrosa has just come into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. Is he going to do a bit of an alternate strategy? He's gone to the intermediate tyre. I mean, I haven't seen these spots of rain, unless there's a couple of spots coming on the sort of front canopy of that Rebel X 2019. But, I mean, look, Inestrosa, he's so far down the order, trying something different is, you know, it's something, isn't it? But
why?
If the track's bone dry, well, there, that's why. The weather radar, I suppose, is probably looking at.
Yeah, but, like, right now, it is still slick tyres. It's what I mean, like, you can't... For this, you can't go, right, I'm going to think in 7D. Like, right, it will rain. I say that, Kai de Bruyn runs into the back. What happened there? Serrano slow. Still slow. I think Kai's looking a bit puzzled too.
Yeah, I think basically what happened, Serrano must have had a moment there. He just backed the rest of them up then, didn't it? Drumont's got a warning there.
Maybe that was it. He just
for a collision.
Just nipped him maybe and slowed him down. Kai de Bruyn now right on the back of the Frenchman's X2019. Nothing really to do here. I don't see any rain, Tom. I mean, on the radar there's something. There's nothing on the canopy. And again, in real life, you don't box until like the 6 can't take it anymore.
Yeah, you're not at the crossover point, no doubt about it. You know, the thing is, you know, the rain coming down on the canopy, fine, looks particularly spectacular as we see Drumont versus Serrano side by side into turn 3. Serrano holds firm, but runs a little bit deep actually on the apex, and that might allow Drumont to close up onto the exit of the corner. Goes off onto the sort of wetter part of the circuit here and down in towards turn 4. He's got the inside line, but has he got the grip under braking? He has. Drumont is through, and on the inside of Jose Serrano. Oh, look at that for Kai de Bruyn. Beautiful. On the inside, the door was open, and Kai de Bruyn gladly walked through it.
You don't have to ask him, do he? He always says, all right, okay, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Any opportunity, and Kai is on it. I've got to admire that driving style. Super aggressive, super opportunistic, and up to P3 now.
He's like a Jack Russell, isn't he, Kai de Bruyn? He's sort of, you know, yapping away at your heels and then out over your shoulder. It's just sort of
a very tall Jack Russell.
Very tall Jack Russell indeed. But he is Dutch.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfair.
So, look, Inestrosa, just to finish that thought, by the way, you know, he's, 22 seconds off the back, but exactly as you say, all the while you keep it heat in those slick tyres, there's no need to change over to the intermediates because you're just not putting, you know, you're not running out of grip or anything like that. And I started to get this point, but now look at the weather radar. It's changed back to slick, so unless he's just going to tippy-toe round, but you know, you've got to keep a level of pace up.
You've got to ignore that radar. Like, I mean, obviously it gives you an idea of what's coming, but you are there. You are the best place, the best person to determine what tyres you've got to be on. So that's what they always say to me on the radio when we're racing around the North Side. They say, you tell us. You know, and just saying, oh, well, the radar says, well, yeah, but it's bone dry. Don't go onto a wet tyre. I mean, look, he was 3 seconds slower than that in the Stroza. Any advantage he might have gained is already gone. He's losing time every lap now.
I always remember, do you remember the 2009 Malaysian Grand Prix? Particularly weird sort of thing to get into, I know. But it was a race that was affected by rain. It ended up not going the full race distance, but there was a strategy there where Ferrari went onto the wet tyres on a bone-dry circuit. Anyway, get away from that diversion because, look, everybody else is now coming in. They've got to be coming in for intermediate tyres, surely. So the top three, Labuschagne, Drumont and De Bruyne, have all come into the pit lane. They've gone for intermediate tyres. Serrano, Jura, etc. have all stayed out here. Now, are they going to take advantage? Lap times, what? They're in the 1:11. They're easily slick tyres last time around. Unless they're expecting an absolute deluge on this lap, I don't know. Is that the right call?
It's not raining, boys. What's going on? I'm sitting here like wondering, I mean, maybe they can see something we can't. I mean, but again, I can see there is the weather radar here. I mean, hopefully we can show you guys on screen as well. So we can see that here is the weather radar. We can see that there is some rain coming, but can you see rain now? No! What's going on?
Oh, Labuschagne and De Bruyne there. So De Bruyne's managed to take profit of that one. So he's now ahead of the two Frenchmen. Of course, Labuschagne, just to remind you, was in the race lead prior to this one. So, you know, is this the effective race lead, or is now this the time for Jose Serrano, Pol Jura to start coming to the fore? Now there is the rain on the canopy for the first time. But of course they've waited a lap later. They'll have been pumping in 6 times. They're going around another time. So they're thinking we're nowhere near the crossover point, but are they going to be waiting that little bit too long? Because now the rain's coming down at a heavier intensity here. Miyazono and Karatza subsequently have blinked at the end of lap 16. They've decided they're going for intermediates.
They're just going to risk it, I think, and try and save the pit stop. If you can do that and hang it out, you save a pit stop. I was speaking to our co-commentator, Florian Straff. No, it's the wrong choice. Look at this. It is definitely the wrong choice. The slick tyres have nothing. But then again, that the rain has almost stopped again. Maybe it's drier at this point of the circuit. Of course, the rain moves over the track, so not all of it is wet at once.
Just to give some clarification for the audience, by the way, the weather radar, when it's a light blue, that's sort of a light rain. When it gets to dark blue, that's a heavy rain. When it's green, duck and find cover and get a boat with 2 oars rather than a Red Bull X 2019 with wet tyres, to be honest with you, is probably the best solution. Right, so it's pretty wet in the first part of the first sector that we can see. The middle sector looks all right, though, to be honest with you. Can't see too much rain that's affecting this part of the circuit. Now the question is, how much time for the likes of Labuschagne, De Bruyne and Drumont, who all boxed at the end of the last lap, how much time are they going to be gaining or losing relative to the top 4 who are still on the slick tyres? The opportunity is there for these slick runners, but, you know, are the track conditions meeting what they're expecting?
Well, here's where it's wettest. It's down here at T1 going up towards T2 and T3, and that's where we saw Gallo really struggle. But let's have a look now as they come through. It looks like it's dry. So I think by staying out, making that right call, the water's been cleared up pretty much instantly. I mean, these things are pretty much vacuum cleaned to water. The water gets just thrown up and off into oblivion. So staying on this soft tyre was the right choice, because now they don't have to box off it again. They're on the right tyre at this time. If it does continue to rain, then you come in a box. But I think braving that out was the right choice, and only 4 cars have done that. Serrano, Jura, Gallo and Guy Barbara.
But Drumont has just lost a place to Takuma Sasaki, who's braved it out on the soft compactor tyre and is now taking profit of those runners who went for the intermediate tyres in this middle stint of the race, and now they're hemorrhaging time relative to those around. I mean, like lap times wise, last time around, Jose Serrano on the soft tyres, 1:16.6. Labuschagne was a 1:13, but this time it's going to be surely the converse of that, because the rain has stopped and the track conditions are falling back. Or is it, though? I say that, now the top 3 are coming into the pits. Is Guy Barbara going to follow them in, or is he going to go bold with the strategy? No, he comes in as well. He's following the leaders because he's now gained track position pretty much from right at the back of the field. So they're going on to the intermediate tyres about 2 laps later than the top 3. So now let's see how this is ebb and flowed. Don't forget, Labuschagne and Drumont were at the front of this race along with Serrano prior to the pit stops. Now, with the reverse of that, it's Labuschagne, De Bruyne and Drumont who lead this race, with Serrano in 4th Karatsa's up to 5th position here, and Ura is down to 6th place. So those who did pit earlier for those intermediate tyres ultimately have managed to take profit of that.
Yeah, a lot of confused faces in the audience. Don't worry, us too. We're trying to work it out as we go at the moment. But what I would love to see now is that weather radar, because guess what? Rain's here once again, but there are people out there on significantly newer intermediate tyres than the rest. So I have to wonder if they just saw this coming, because you can only go so far out weather radar. You can't go too far, but yeah, that cloud looks ominous. The Bouteille, De Bruin and Drumont, 1, 2, 3. Serrano 4th as well. Really, and that pack who stayed out, who braved it, actually lost out, which I don't see how that makes sense. My brain can't get around that.
So I kind of get what you're saying, but yeah, look, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, look at the sky. It's like a British summer's day, this. It's dark on one part of it, and look at the rain now. It's coming down in a very heavy intensity, heavier than we've seen it over the course of this one. Now, the question is, how long are these intermediate tyres going to hold up? And those who pitted earlier on, of course, their intermediate tyres are going to be a lot more worn than those who pitted 2 laps later, because the track wasn't wet enough at the time. They were burning up, they were overheating those intermediate tyres. So if you're on the inters now, fine, have you got the grip underneath you because you might have burnt those tyres out a bit sooner, or are you going to still have the grip underneath you because the rain might be falling heavier?
And of course, bear in mind, the way that intermediate tyres wear is you basically burn the tread away. So if it gets wetter, you lose the ability to move the water in the same way you would with a fresh intermediate tyre. So you start getting into a lot of levels of thinking here, trying to work out what is the best way to do it. And the thing is, in real life racing, you will have a team on the end of your radio telling you what the best opportunity is. But here, they've got to do it all themselves.
Look at the tyres there. So you can see the top 3 who pitted earlier for the intermediate tyres. Their tyres are significantly more warm relative to the likes of Serrano and Gallo and Ura. Ura, meanwhile, has just lost the place to Valerio Gallo, who's made an overtake on Ura for 6th position. But, yeah, so you can see that those who pitted later on, of course, have got more tyre left, as you would begin to expect. Now Le Bouteille is challenging with De Bruin. Side by side we go. Le Bouteille still holds firm in the race lead, as De Bruin sort of had a half look to the inside going down the start-finish straight, but couldn't quite make it stick. So we're 2/3 done here in this race. We're on board here with Drumont, spray being thrown in front of him effectively from the cars, and we head into the braking zone of turn 3. So this is your battle for the race lead, but how is this one going to ebb and flow in terms of the weather? I mean, look at the sky. It looks pretty clear, pretty okay.
Kaiser got the run on the Bouteille there on the outside, better off the exit, just came off the racing line. Good launch there, looking around the outside. Can he make it stick on the Frenchman? He can. Right around the outside goes Kai de Bruin, back up into the lead of the race. Really nice move there by the Dutch driver. But as you say, Tom, I mean, like we haven't got a weather radar here on screen right now, so I can't tell you what's coming and what isn't. But the skies look good. I think we're going to go back towards maybe a drier circuit. So, I mean, the question remains: do you reckon you could have kept out the soft tyres? I don't think so. I think that would be too much.
Well, look, let's park that thought for now. The question now is, look, it looks dry. It looks perfect overhead. As you see the 2 Frenchmen squabbling for 2nd place here with Le Bouteille and Drumont. But can you now go to the end of the race on the intermediate tyres, or are you going to have to make another pit stop and go to dry tyres if it dries out towards the end of this one? There's so much going on in this one, and the upshot is now, for the first time, Kai de Bruin it is that leads from Kilian Drumont, Le Bouteille in 2nd, Serrano in 3rd. You've got 4 drivers there separated by about 1.5, 2 seconds or so as they come on the run into turn 3. And now Kai de Bruin, the Dutchman, leads a race for the first time in the grand finals in the Nations Cup.
What an introduction there to Dunlops, to this series. Pretty much all that tyres being used at once in this race. Cool to see. But now, yeah, as you say, it's a matter of how long until the track dries out again. We said crossover time. It's about 1 minute 13 or so from the intermediate to the soft compounder tyre. Last lap time for context for our leader, Kai de Bruin, 1:16.5. So we're not quite there yet, but Miyazono managed a 15.1. So the time is there. And that 15.1, by the way, that was on a older set of tyres. Not the older set on the grid, but an older set of tyres. So, well, there you are, last lap on the screen there. So we're approaching it, but we're not quite there yet. But it's one of those big calls. If you're Guy Barber or something, make the call early, have a go. Why the hell not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Guy Barbara was, as you saw earlier on, he was right at the sharp end of this one. The upshot is because he pitted when he did, he lost a bit of track position, and he's now down into 8th position. You can see further behind there as well, you've got the likes of Gallo with Karatza and Ura all squabbling for places. Guy Barbara celebrated his birthday yesterday. Would love to give himself a birthday present of a podium finish as we ride on board here with Jose Serrano, who's now all over the rear wing of Laboutelet into the braking zone of turn 3. Has he got the grip on the outside? They run side by side, but he'll have a face from the curb. He's got the traction though. He's got the overspeed. That's absolutely beautiful from Jose Serrano, who's now through it into 3rd place and fancies a nibble at Kylian Drumont's 2nd before too long. Not quite down into turn 4, but he's certainly getting the hurry up.
The Serrano's Dunlop intermediates are significantly newer than Drumont's and De Bruyn's in front. That might play into this race. I've just seen our radar we have on our screen here. There is still a little bit of rain left, but after that it seems to be, that's it, dry. So I feel as if we're going to be going back to soft tyres at some point in this race. When, no, that's up to the drivers. As Serrano now is right on the back of Drumont. Is he going to go for a move? He's got so much more speed right now with the drivers in front of him. Has Serrano played a blinder here? I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. This guy is a past winner, won last time out in London, was a Nations Cup champion from 2023 in the team format. Never count him out.
Do you know what this race reminds me of? Do you remember World Series 2 in Prague last year? Hegsay versus Bedima. Oh, De Bruyn, by the way, was just a little bit wide over the curb there. Drumont, I beg your pardon. That might have cost him a bit of drive coming in towards turn 3 and allowed Serrano to attack. But Hegsay versus Bedima last year, we saw a great battle in exactly the same conditions as this. And now look at the drive that Serrano gets on the exit of turn 3. He's in the slipstream here of Kylian Drumont. Drumont's going to defend this line surely to the inside and force Serrano to the outside. You can make a move stick through there. He needs a good grip under braking and a willing dance partner. Drumont tries to squeeze him. Serrano's there, but he gets a face full of curb as Drumont holds the line for second and holds on for now the charge of the flying Spaniard.
Drumont there just walking out to the outside of the circuit saying no thank you son. Here's on board the Paul Ura replay. Oh, right into the back of Gallo. Hits Gallo again. Second time his race has done that.
Yeah, no grip under braking there for Ura, just plants it into the back of Gallo. He in turn then goes into the side of Adriano Karatza, who's on the receiving end of that one. Serrano having a look, he's got more grip, he's trying to use it to his advantage to the inside of the final corner. What a lunge from Jose Serrano. He's now through it into second. He wants to get 2 wins from 2 World Series events. It compromised his run though out of the final corner. Could leave him vulnerable, but I think he just about gathers it up okay.
Starting to see a little bit of a dry line emerge there, Tom, and I think if you're Kai De Bruyn, those rear tyres are going off pretty, you can see here, they're going off pretty bad like. Same for Strohs. I mean, his race isn't really going to affect the rest of this race here, but Kai De Bruyn, Drumont and Laboutelet have something to think about very soon. Serrano, though, he can probably drag those in. Look at how much faster he is. He's already on the back of Kai De Bruyn, going down into T4 here. What do you make a go of it? He gets very close to the Dutchman, but look at the amount of speed he has over the car in front. It's only a matter of time. It has to be. Serrano will be leading this race if he can get by Kai De Bruyn.
De Bruyn's going to defend this one here in the middle sector. No surprise there at all. Strohs is going to surely go to the soft tyres. Nothing to lose there for him right at the back. But at the sharp end of this one, De Bruyn, he's all over the road. He's just got no grip underneath him. Serrano's going to drive by like he's left the handbrake on. There's contact as they come through the exit of the right-hander. Serrano, though, with the inside line. And now the lead of the race for the first time. Jose Serrano for Spain is in front here in the grand final. And he's got 6 laps separating him from his 2nd victory in succession.
I don't think there's enough time to come in and put the softs on for it to make a difference.
I think you're right. I was just about to say, you know, the crossover, what, we 1:13? We're about at that window now, but the time you're going to lose, what, 25 seconds, something like that? You're not going to gain that unless everybody else does it, and it's such a gamble at the sharp end. Serrano, I don't think you can afford to take that risk now.
But some of these guys might have to. I mean, look who's having the stab at it. Miyazano's going to go, whatever. Nothing to lose for Miyazano. It's a long way back on this pack, but it might be worth doing something. There's 5 and a bit laps left. I don't know. Serrano might have played this one just fantastic. A bit wide down the bottom there. It doesn't matter. He's already gained a 2nd on De Bruyn and Drumont. So now Paul Ura also coming through the field on a much much healthier intermediate tyre.
Well, they pitted at the same time, didn't they?
Yeah, are we going to see another Spanish 1-2?
It's not out of the realms of possibility, is it? I mean, look, you know, Jura lost track position courtesy of the fact that he was a couple more car lengths behind Serrano, and ultimately, because of the field, they were so close to one another. It means that he's now got more hard work to do here, Paul Jura. But look at him, he's all over the back of Kylian Drumont like a bad rash, and Drumont's race and De Bruyne's race are falling apart like a cheap watch. Through the final corner we go, across the timing line, and you get the sense that Jura is going to send one through on the inside because he's going to just have that much more grip under braking, and indeed he does. Look at that, Paul Jura into third place. He'll have great attraction on the exit. Next target, Kai De Bruyne, and it's only a matter of time here.
Yeah, and Kai De Bruyne's stuck, he can't do anything here apart from box. Here comes Valerio Gallo also on a newer tyre as well. So all those who pitted for the intermediates a bit later are all seeing, oh, Drumont and Boufflet contact. The French drivers who were leading this 1-2 at the start down to 5th and 6th and still falling, and suddenly Gallo is in with a chance of a podium too.
There's no adage for experience in the Gran Turismo World Series. The podium, just to remind you, for World Series 1, Serrano, Jura and Gallo was your top 3 finishers. At the moment it looks set that could be on for a repeat. Serrano leads, but Jura's got the inside line here on Kai De Bruyne in the middle sector. Can he make it stick through into the left-hander? He can! And Gallo's there as well. De Bruyne loses 2 places. Drumont's rear tyres are absolutely toast, by the way. That's why he's sliding around like a dog on a polished floor. So he's going to surely have to come in and make a box before the end of this race. De Bruyne's going to be going backwards there as well. They're intermediate tyres. There's no water left to clear them. They're just overheating. They're all over the shop. And now we've got 2 laps left remaining. And it's Serrano, Jura and Gallo, a repeat, possibly, of the World Series 1 podium on the cards here in Berlin.
That is huge. And you know who gained 2 seconds there in Sector 2 alone? Takuma Miyazono in P9. So he's flying right now on that soft compounder tyre. I think maybe a bit too far back to do anything, but still the speed is there. Who knows?
Well, look who the big winners are in that one. Guy Barber, I know he's just picked up a 2-second penalty. Sasaki as well also made ground because they pitted at the same time as the 3 who are now in the top 3 positions here of this race. And I tell you what, Jimmy, it's not over in the battle for these podium places because Gallo, he needs as many points as he can. He's 3rd in the championship at the moment. If he can get one over of Jura, that will be enough to promote him up into 2nd in the championship, I reckon.
You'll know he'll have a go. Last lap there. Look who's the fastest on circuit right now. It's Takuma Miyazono, 1:12.1, but only 1.1 seconds faster than Serrano. Not quick enough, I think, to make that gap to the front, but quick enough to maybe challenge for a couple more positions. Meanwhile, Jura and Gallo going at it on his intermediate tyres, wearing more and more. Jura boxes.
He's boxed.
Why?
His intermediate tyres. Is he just taking a gamble? Is he deciding that
why
his tyres are going to be slow to the end of the race and he's taking a risk? I mean, look, for our money, the safe bet, surely, 2 laps to go, you just nurse those intermediate tyres to the end of this race, but he's throwing caution to the wind. I mean, what's there a gap? What, 5 seconds or so? Back to Sasaki, but surely he's going to be dropping track position. Let's see where he comes out of the pit lane here, Paul Jura. He's going to have the mother and father of all jobs now to do this in the last 2 laps of this race. The upshot is, though, Serrano has to play this one safe. He's got no choice. He's backed into a corner, and he's now just got to drive this one as best he can. Barbara versus De Bruyne, meanwhile. De Bruyne's still stuffing it out on the intermediate tyres, but he's going to fall down like a stone. But we're still holding our head in our hands, wondering the strategy there of Paul Jura, who's, by the looks of things, thrown away what could have been a certain podium.
I don't understand. I don't know. We'll ask him afterwards, but only he knows what's going through his own mind. But meanwhile, Kai De Bruyne fighting off Guy Barbara. I bet he didn't think he'd be battling for 4th place at the end of this. Sasaki ahead of them on the podium now. Again, someone else who probably had no idea, but Serrano is coming on to start his penultimate lap, and the pace is still there. His last lap, 14.3, starting to fall off now. But look at the gap. He can afford a couple of seconds a lap.
The drop-off is quite dramatic, I will say, on these intermediate tyres. So unless they're sort of thinking, look, if I run 2 more laps on these tyres, the rears are going to be toast, and I'm just going to be crawling around on that final lap, and that's what they're sort of gambling on. But look, let's wait and see how it all works out. I tell you, someone who'll be ruining how this race has panned out is Guy Barbara. I know he's in P5 and he's on for a strong result, but he was on the podium effectively now. He was in where Sasaki was prior to that 2-second penalty that he had a few moments ago. Meanwhile, Takuma Miyazono, we've hardly mentioned him at all here tonight. We talked about unusual strategies. He's just quietly ghosted his way up into 6th position and is now all over the back of Guy Barbara as De Bruyne versus Sasaki for the final podium place. Side by side they go. Sasaki holds it, but De Bruyne's got the inside line. Has he got the traction through on the inside? He has. Kai De Bruyne is now back up and into the podium places.
Yeah, De Bruyne wants this. He's basically on the podium the entire race. Miyazono, though, look at him. He's stuck. He can't get by Guy Barbara. And he can't go off the race and lie on those soft tyres, but the traction's there. And now, there's only one more lap left. Is Sasaki going to be far enough ahead to keep his position from Takuma Miyazono? This has been a ridiculous race. Jose Serrano starts his last lap, so he's now leading into T1. 6 seconds between him and Valerio Gallo. Kai De Bruyne third, Sasaki fourth just from Takuma Miyazono, and Guy Barbara sixth. Paul Ura seventh after boxing for a reason we can't comprehend. This race has been ridiculous.
Well, look at the points rankings here for Jose Serrano. It would be a clean sweep in the Nations Cup for him so far. But Paul Ura, he'd have been on for a level second place with Valerio Gallo had he finished where he was. The upshot is he's now looking set to not finish on the podium unless other drivers fall into severe misfortunes in the final half a lap here at this Red Bull Ring circuit. But Jose Serrano, his rear tyres are absolutely knackered at the moment. They're right down to the canvas, the cord, and anything that's underneath that, and he's just going to be cruising his way. But he's got, what, 7 seconds in his pocket, and unless he makes a slip up of his lines in the final sector, I think this race is going to go the way of Jose Serrano. And what a drive it has proven to be. 2 more corners from home, and this is going to feel like the longest 2 of the young Spaniard's life. He now makes his way around the final corner. Jose Serrano makes it 2 wins from 2 races in the Nations Cup here in Berlin. What a performance from the Spaniard. Second place for Valerio Gallo and P3 for Kai De Bruyne. His first ever podium in the Gran Turismo World Series. Sasaki versus Miyazono, and Miyazono mugs Sasaki at the checkered flag there as well. And Paul Ura, well, from what we saw, it looks like he threw away what could have been an almost certain podium here tonight.
I'm not allowed to describe this race in the way I want to because we're
on my Ofcom.
Yeah, we're a friendly stream that way. But what happened there? That was a ridiculous race, and how well played by Jose Serrano. You know what? Going into this final, I was like, nah, he's not in it. It's going to be between the French guys who ended 7th and 8th, by the way, Le Boutelet and Drummond. But Serrano just showing what experience means in these GT live events. Valerio Gallo, an amazing second place, who finished with pretty much no rear left tyre, and Kai De Bruyne finally getting back on the podium where he belongs. A couple of steps maybe lower than he wanted, but still an impressive performance there from the Dutchman.
Yeah, I have to say, if you're Kai De Bruyne, you're smiling from ear to ear. For Jose Serrano, amazing job. For Paul Ura, there must have been something. He must have known that those tyres were going to go off. Look, you know, we'll pick the bones out of it. I'm sure we'll catch up with him at some point. Either way, the race started in intermediate conditions. It was Drummond and Le Boutelet who were leading the race at the sharp end of that one. They came over the line in 7th and 8th, by the way, and just dropped back through the race. Anyway, in the mid stages, it all kicked off. It dried up, then it started to get wet again, then it dried up, then it started to get wet again. Le Boutelet was leading on lap 19, then De Bruyne fancied a pick at the front. Serrano was there as well as Carazza at this point. The strategies all then began to sort of play out as the conditions developed. Le Boutelet here was on the inside of Jose Serrano. The upshot is those who pitted earlier for the intermediate tyres managed to leapfrog those who pitted later, but the problem is that then left them vulnerable later on in the race. And you can see here De Bruyne, well, this is where his race began to sort of what we thought was come undone. Serrano got back through and just managed to nurse his tyres to the end of that one.
Yeah, it was a thoroughly ridiculous race. It really was. It was just who was in the right tyre at the right time. And I found myself just being a bit lost at some points, to be honest, because of how the weather changed. But this man read the situation perfectly. Jose Serrano coming home 7 seconds ahead of Valerio Gallo. That is not an insignificant margin.
Yeah, it reminds me of the last time I tried to read a book in the power cut. You know, it was unreadable. Jose Serrano, meanwhile, takes his second victory of the season in the grand final for the Nations Cup. Valerio Gallo makes it a second podium in as many races, and Kai De Bruyne makes his first podium here in the Gran Turismo World Series. A phenomenal result. Let's go down on the floor and catch up with Jules. She'll surely be catching up with some of our podium finishers.
Yes, Welcome, guys. So, first of all, Klaus Schubert, that was some amazing driving. You got a podium, fantastic work. I mean, I gotta be honest, those tyres looked, they're pretty, yeah, how was that? I don't know how to put it into words.
So I guess around lap 24, my rear tires were literally 100% done.
I think everybody was down to like nothing at some point, yeah.
Yeah, so I pitted again and made some places, yeah.
But you got way out in front and you kept it, which is fantastic stuff for you. How did you stay calm?
I mean...
Did you stay calm? I mean, maybe you didn't.
Just keep pushing, I guess.
I'm Valerio, amazing drive there. Well done. How are you feeling? Talk us through that, because that was, I mean, it was a lot, right?
A lot of stuff happened, to be honest. I mean, from the start of the day, I was very upset for the qualifying. But, you know, I saw also the variables for sprint race, and we saw that also with a bit of penalties, also 3 wides for the straight line. And also the grand final, of course, with the wet, it was huge variable. And I just needed to stay out of trouble and manage the tires because I was cansado drifto like the last corners.
I mean, did you have any left? Was it just dust by the end there?
Probably I like dismounted the tires completely. So, but yeah, I'm still GG to these guys and well done. And also congrats to Jose and to all the other guys.
Yeah, well done. Give them a big round of applause, guys. And Paul, I guess we want to know what happened with the strategy there at the end.
I don't know. You know, the famous sentence from Charles Leclerc, I'm stupid. That's the conclusion of the race.
I'm stupid.
No, don't be silly. Come on. It was an amazing drive. Come on. Honestly, like, it's all very well us sitting here and being like, yeah, you know, like, it's very, very different when you're sitting up there, right? It's really different. You have to make decisions in a short moment, and sometimes it works okay, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't think I could do any better, but yeah, you did really, really well. Guys, I want to give them a big round of applause. Everyone did stellar work. These are all of the competitors here for the Nations Cup Grand Final. Let's throw it back up to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Jules. Well, let's take stock of the World Series points rankings after 2 rounds then. Jose Serrano, 2 wins in 2 races. Superb job from the Spaniard. Gallo sits there in 2nd place, and Jura, well, he only scored 1 point after that strategy miscommunication dilemma, whatever you want to refer to it as. Either way, it's a missed opportunity for him, and he now sits 3rd in the standings. Sasaki in there as well, and Kai de Bruyne, courtesy of his first point score of the season, jumps himself right up from near the bottom to 5th in the standings.
Yeah, consistency there from Gallo. Does keep him in it. The gap is now 3 points to Jose Serrano, but it's not completely out of it. Well, of course, Paul Jura there, now half the points behind Serrano. But a couple of people getting points on the board again. Guy Barber will be upset at that performance. A mistake right at the end there, put him right down to the bottom of the field. As well in Estrosa with that interesting intermediate strategy. But as Jules said, very, very difficult to work that all out.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well, let's go down then to Jules and catch up with the winner. 2 wins in 2 Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup finals for Jose Serrano.
I'm down here with Jose Serrano, the winner of round 2 of the Nations Cup. Jose, talk us through your strategy. There was a lot of strategy in that. How did you make it work?
Well,
everyone's like, oh God.
It was one of the toughest races I've did, so incredible. I'm super happy to the results, so yeah.
So, like, talk us through, because I mean, it was we had no idea how it was going to kind of play out, and you just made a really, really good call, obviously, like pitting a little bit later on. Were you making the decisions in the moment? I suppose you couldn't really have a strategy because you don't know what the weather's going to be.
I had no idea too, so.
My strategy is no strategy.
No strategy, secret.
But if you can make those good decisions in the moment, then that's all that counts. But I mean, was it a fun race? Is it ever fun?
For the spectator, I think so. So for me, no, but.
Well, you did good. It's definitely fun now, right? Please give a huge round of applause to Jose Serrano, a Nations Cup round 2 winner!
Well,
After you've had a cup of tea and calmed down after that one, you can vote for your driver of the day as well. Jose Serrano, Valerio Gallo and Killian Drumont are your options. Get on to the YouTube stream and let us know who you think is the top driver from that one. I have to say, Jose Serrano, look, he pulled an absolute blinder, no doubt about it, but there were some great performances up and down the field in that race. It is quite hard to call.
Yeah, almost hard to pick from those three there, but all definite contenders, all worthy of the Dunlop driver of the day. But it's up to you guys, vote on YouTube.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing who is going to be the winner of that one. And look, you know, Kai de Bruyne as well. I cannot emphasise how happy I am for him. He's just seems to have been a nearly man. He's always been there. These X2019s he seems to perform exceptionally well in, but yeah, really, really strong performance.
There are so many of those drivers now in this field where they're all rapids, and if the conditions sort of come together for them, they win easily. But as you know, in these events, we don't make it easy for them. Not at all.
You don't say. I'm absolutely knackered after that one, and so are the drivers. Let's get the podium ceremony then underway without further ado here in Berlin. Berlin, the Gran Turismo World Series. It's time to welcome our podium finishers. In third place from the Netherlands, give it your all for Kai de Bruyne. In second place, please give it up for Italy's Valerio Gallo. And the winner of Gran Turismo World Series 2 in the Nations Cup from Spain, it is Jose Serrano! 2 wins from 2 races, maximum points here in Germany. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of Spain. The national anthem of Spain plays out for our winner, Jose Serrano, who now has maximum points in the Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup. And it's now time for the awards to be presented. Third place, Belman Adarevic, the Senior Marketing Director of Fanatec, makes her way onto the stage. To a round of applause here in Germany. And she will present the third place trophy to the Dutchman, Kai de Bruyne. Second place, Takahiko Tokio, Sumitomo Rubber Industries Global Marketing Department, makes his way onto the stage here in Germany. And towards the awards, to grab the second place trophy and present it to Italy's Valerio Gallo. And finally, please welcome the Gran Turismo Series producer, Kazunori Yamauchi, onto the stage here in Berlin. And last but not least, the winner's trophy for the second time this season is awarded to Spain and Jose Serrano!
Well, once again, spicy racing for you.
Stop it.
No, I mean,
Are you on commission for that or something?
I get paid every time I say it. But it was, my goodness, what some fantastic racing. Those tyres, wow. If anything was spicy, it was the tyres.
We've just got to have rain every event. I'm telling you, it makes it amazing. I love trying to call that stuff. It's so difficult to watch.
It's like real in-the-moment strategy. How do you find it?
That was amazing. And look, if that sets a precedent for Dunlop coming into the championship, bring it on. I cannot wait.
This was my mic. I would simulate a mic drop, but it's not. And I'll take it out my wages, so I'm not going to do that. But it's been. Have you guys had a good time? Yeah? We've had a great time here in Berlin. They've been incredible hosts, an amazing audience. Don't forget to get your tickets, of course, for Los Angeles. Come and visit us, get a tan. It's going to be great. And then, of course, our grand finals, which are going to be in Fukuoka in Japan. And tickets for them go on sale on October the 1st. You know you've always wanted to go to Japan. Now's your chance to do it with a good excuse, which is watching some amazing sim racing and the best in the world competing. Have you had a nice time today?
Oh, I always have a nice time here at Gran Turismo. How could I not?
It's been wonderful, hasn't it? I mean, Jose Serrano in the Nations Cup, maximum points on offer. He's in a great position going into World Series 3 in LA.
I think it's every year it just gets better and better. See, that's the spice. It adds flavour to me. Okay. Well, look, we've had a great time, but we'll see you next time in Los Angeles. Bye.
PlayStation.